Hi, it's David here with Future Trading. I want to make the video for you, Dimitri, to satisfy your question you had about how to kind of gauge when they're constantly flipping the trend on you. We touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to try to give you just a couple more pointers, if you will, to kind of know when it will change. Now, I'm only, of course, doing a video because you asked these questions because I was just going to come back next week, but you're so supportive, and I don't want to leave you. Waiting until next week to get the information. You and Payman, y'all are really supportive here. You're constantly contributing, and I thank you for doing so. We're trying to definitely get this information to new traders. All right, anyone that's new or you've been doing it for a while and you're struggling with the information that's on the chart, we want to try to help you with that. The channel is primarily all about trends, so it's a little bit beyond the scope of what I can disclose online here when it comes to reversal trading. I told you I don't really promote that kind of trading. It's not that I can't tell you how to do it. Of course, I can, but it's just a little bit outside the scope of what I want to release online. So, and there's not any professionals that will get online and tell you even how to like be profitable. And that's another thing I definitely want to say, and that's why it's really important that the participation come up a bit from the subscribers as well as the people that's coming to visit the channel. Try to help other traders. It's not about me, and try to help other traders find some information that's simple, that's repeatable. Most professionals that do this for a living, they know that there's simple things that's happening on the chart, and it's not as complicated as you may think. It's not. You'll be surprised at how simple you can understand the activity if you just knew what you were looking at. And so that's what the trend is all about. And the price action method is try to give you just some basic fundamentals. This is basic fundamental stuff. Man, there's some other simple stuff that's happening on the chart that I just can't tell you here online. It is, and it's very simple. You'll be surprised what's happening right in front of you. That if you only knew, you'll interact with the information differently. Okay, so now let's take a look at we're going to look at the weekly because I covered that here. All right, I covered that here, and then I took and covered it again in the last video here as well. I think I did that in here too, because they're turning around on the daily, and I wanted you to know that we had already kind of gave a couple price levels on the weekly as to where it should go, but they had hit that static level right there at that 15.5. They had hit that, and of course they didn't supposed to go outside that 16.5, and they rotated over. They made the downtrend. Here's that center of that trend, but then of course here's the participation off of of course the participation over here. And so the no close bars, these are no close bars, and of course that's their daily level. If you're new to the channel, we'll take a look at the daily as well. And they dove into that zone there for the intraday, and they turned around, and I gave you the upside targets, and they've been hitting them ever since they were down here on the 26th. And I told you, you just don't want them back outside of here when this bar was trading. All right, and, you can go back a couple videos and see that. Now we got the no close bar. Here's the participation, so they should go up. And I put that question mark there on that trend distance because it's like, you're up. So, but they did make the 7 down, and of course, there's the center of the trend. They managed to come right back up. All right, now let's take a look at that daily. This is where we're expecting them to be. All right. So if you're new to the channel, we're expecting them to go up here to the 85, 95 area there. Now, I said that in that video there. I said this all in that video back on 8/15. All right. So you can go back, familiarize yourself with that. Again, this is the information that the channel actually covers. This is what people, tend to promote the most. And we want to kind of get away from this side of it, don't want to do this. Want to get into this, the thing that's not online. Want to get into this, how to contextually have a holistic approach at looking at the markets. Want to do that. Now, the last time I covered the video, it was like right here on this bar. I tried to put the arrow directly where the bar was trading at on that day. So 11.7 is where you took and covered this. All right. Now we've been doing this on the way up. I've been trying to track it for you ever since they were down here, and I gave you the long side targets. But the last video we were here, and there's your trend distance. All right, and that's up here. And so there's the center of the trend. I do suspect they're not going to make it back here at all. All right, they shouldn't, because if they manage to get all the way back down here, you can pretty much bet unless the bars are really big, they'll have a trend on the way back down. And so we don't really want to see that. It's not that they can't wipe it out. I mean, they were wiping out the uptrends on this side of it, but I don't suspect they'll get this far. So what we'll do is we'll flip these zones just really quickly here, and then we're going to dive into what it is that you wanted to know about. Let's kind of move this downward here. Let's make it green. We're going to kind of just zone this out a bit, and then we're going to go into that information. Let's do 450. All right, so we're going 550 down to 450, and the stop would have to be one tick outside of that 450. Now, this is a target level. I'm gonna put a couple of levels under it as well, because if they were to rotate down, you'll want to see them stay above. Let's go 250. Let's go 250 and 150. All right, and then we're gonna go 150 down to 050, somewhere in there, give or take, and then we're gonna go down to 050, somewhere in there, give or take. And so if they pull back after breaking that high, they may come back to that 550. And so this area right here should catch them. Should hopefully. Let's see if it'll do it. Let's see if it'll pick them right back up and turn them around. Let's see if it'll do it. So we're gonna go 150. We're gonna dive into that information and try to give you an idea of what to look for to try to see when it'll kind of fail on you or won't keep going. So we're going to take a look at that. Just let me outline this really quickly here. I'm going to try to do the alert and give you the information that you need. Try to put it all together. All right. So, and again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad to have you stop by. Hopefully, you can go through the information. It's like a library. I'm just trying to put some information online. Don't plan on maintenance in the channel forever. Just want to put some information online to give the public something that's useful, something that's simple and it's repeatable. All right, so of course we hit the static level here. We did, and they're responding. Now we don't need this one anymore. We don't need this one anymore because they're referencing this one here. Now this one would be from 950 up to 050. All right, so 050 and the high is 50, 49.50, I believe. 49.50. So they came really close. And again, the back of the zone, let me show you what the back of the zone price is so you'll know. Okay, so it's 16.050. All right, 16.050. And the high, and I'll do this one more time so you'll see repeatable information, high 49. All right, so there you go. Got really close there, and they gave you some information back to the downside. Dimitri, I told you a price you in payment. I did tell you guys a price that we want to see if they can get back to it. And so just keep an eye out for that. And hopefully we'll get to that trend distance. Hopefully we'll go ahead and get there. All right. Now, Dimitri, you had asked me about the market, of course, turning and how to know when it'll fail. Now, what I got here is a 5-minute chart. Okay, so this is a 5-minute. I'll just put it right here, just so you'll know. This is a 5-minute chart. All right, so that's a 5-minute. And just lock it. And then of course, this is a 60-minute. So, and we'll probably rotate this out a little bit too if we have to. But it's more so a little bit of fractal alignment here. I'm gonna do multi-time frame alignment. We're gonna try to do a little bit of that and kind of know what's going on. The black floater here. So the thing that you're seeing on these time frames, okay, the 5-minute, 60-minute, that's the mid of the bar. Okay, mid of the bar there. So you want to, if you can, now there's just only if you can. Look at me. Well, I get my draw tools over here. All right, so this floater, that black mid of the bar needs to fall below that low. Now that's our setup. All right, that's our setup. If we can get that mid below the low of that bar, that's our setup. It'll, should give you the hard stop, no close level. If the mid, okay, if this mid is located still within this bar, so the current bar, this is the current bar. If that mid is still in there, you can get rotation. All right, you can get rotation. So that's all it is. You try to take the pattern that I released, the free one, And you want to see that information show up, because if it's not that, you will get chopped. You will get the back and forth. Now, how long it lasts, and that's the thing you want to know. Like, how to know, will the trend turn into something else? Will it turn into another trend? That's going to depend on how you scale up. So if you're going to, maybe not so much a 5 minute in comparison to the 1 minute. It's not that big of a difference there. And I know you was using a 30-second to kind of, reduce that risk and get in it a bit sooner, which is good. And I got that here for you too, so you can kind of see how all of that come together. You can see that this mid here is still inside, of course, this bar. Now, is this going to turn into a rotation? I know they're going to blow this low. I absolutely know it. They should. They should go right through this low. But here's the overlap. When this mid is still inside this bar, it gives you the rotation here. Okay, so it's going to give you the rotation, and you can kind of watch that. Now, I just put the 5 minute and the hourly over here, so you can see what you're dealing with on your 1 minute. So you can see what you're dealing with. If that mid is not clearing this high, okay, they were up here at the top of the bar, but that mid is not clearing that high. Now, even though you got that drop down, okay, so even though you got that push off that high on this 5 minute chart, even though you got that push down on the 5 minute chart, they're coming back, okay, because this mid did not clear that high. It's the price pattern that I released, but we're going to look at it backwards, because that's how you'll start to know whether or not you're going to get your rotation. It takes a little bit of, just like I said, just a little bit of information, more than what you're looking at on your entry chart. You'll have to scale up a bit. Now, can you know the rotation is coming in here? Yes, I can teach you that without looking at this information. I absolutely can. I can tell you how you can. Again, there's some simple things that's happening with the chart. That's, you'll be amazed if you just knew that it was there. Just like the trend and trend distance is something that's always happening. If you can spot it, then take it with you. But there's some information that price is always telling you, that it'll do something, and you got to look for it. Okay, the chart is always giving you information. Remember, I told you it's like literature. All right, it's like literature, and go back and read the information that I gave you about how to, of course, look at the function. There's a function to how the chart works. Now, when that mid is still sitting in there, okay, inside this bar, it just creates more of an opportunity for it to climb, okay, for it to go in the opposite direction, or vice versa. Vice versa. If you want to go down, same thing. Now, you see how this mid is approaching the bar's low here. If they have no intent on creating that pattern, there's a chance you may get a rotation. All right, so here comes the rotation on the 30-second chart here. The closer that mid approaches that low, you're coming back in the opposite direction. Absolutely. Because this is the real participation setup. This what this is. That's the igniting, the ignition to it going down the board. The initiative, however you want to. I just call it real participation. You won't touch the mid. The low won't touch the mid, and typically they won't close back above this bar. So it's no touch of the mid, no close. But I know that this is real participation, and you'll almost see it on every turn. Almost every turn in the market to have this going on. And I know you said that sometimes they do this drift, if you will, this climb without real participation. If you see them climbing and they're not giving you real participation, that dump is coming. There's a chance they're going to fall right back into all of that climb, if you will. And I'll try to comb through the chart and find you a couple of examples, but I want to show it to you in real time first, because the real time is important. If you see, that the price pattern that I'm, putting in front of you, if you learn to utilize it in its totality, you'll start to get the benefits of it. All right. And really be able to capitalize on the fluctuations. Now, that's just the price pattern. Just picking it apart, taking the price pattern and just picking it apart. Now, I made these lines over here, the middle of the bar. I just made it into a horizontal line so you can kind of see, see it in reference to the prior bar. I didn't do it to these charts. I wasn't really worried about that. But I want you to know, okay, now if this low is below this mid, The participation is up here. It is absolutely. All the bar timer will have to tick out in the next 27 minutes. Okay, bar timer tick out in 27 minutes. This bar will turn red, and I don't have the levels and the text on here. I just don't. I just put the bar color in there. But this bar will turn red. That would be the the participation bar for the short, and then of course this will be the no close bar. If they can keep this mid below this low for the next 27 minutes. Now, here's the thing that I want to make sure that I stress to you, because this has to deal with it turning into a different trend and not being the trend that you wanted it to be. Your trend failure, okay, will kind of depend on, of course, the higher time frames participation. So you grab a time frame that's a little bit larger than the one that you're looking at, and if that midpoint is not going to remain outside of the prior bar, if it's not going to remain outside the prior bar, then there's a chance you're going to get a rotation and possibly a trend failure. Now, I do believe they're supposed to get through this low, absolutely, ain't no question about it. Now, the only way that that's not going to happen is if they really just don't want to send this market beneath this low, and that's fine. Now, now remember I told you about the mid of the turns. And this is another thing you can look for. If you get a turn and they're referencing that mid and jumping off of it, they're going to go this way. Now, see, that's the thing I told you. The mid of the turn is important. That's important. Here's the mid up here. Okay. Again, I'm not wanting to teach reversals. I don't want to do that. I just want to give you some fundamentals of how to look at when the trend may fail. When it may fail, this is what you're going to be seeing. You're going to see that the mid, okay, so this mid is still beneath this low, and you got 25 minutes. It's a chance they can come back down. But if not, this is a no close bar here. This is a no close bar here. It is because of this bar. Now I know it's green because this bar was the no close bar here. It was, and that supposed to have been the hard stop bar. So these red bars are the hard stop bars. That's the example up here. The red bar is the hard stop bar, and then the NC is the one in front of it. So this is a no close level. Okay. They can very much, try to bring, of course, this bar back up above this price level. So let's find out what this price level is, in case that's what they want to do. Low 846 and a quarter. So they may want to bring price back up above 846 and a quarter. Maybe they won't break the low. Maybe they won't. I think they will. I think they will. I can't definitively say, but I think they're supposed to go through this. I do. Now I don't think they're going to stay down today. Absolutely not. I think they'll go back up. But if not, yes, they'll go through this low. There's no question about it. Now, let's take a look at this mid. Let's take a look at this mid. Now let's count our bars. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's 7. Now here's the trend. Now I hope it does it while I'm up here, because you asked me about trend failures. So this will be the trend. Let's say give or take right there. So let's go trend. This will be the trend. I'll try to cover this in real time for you and not go hindsight on it, because I do want you to be able to retain this information. And looking back in the chart, it's sometimes just a little bit more difficult to get a handle on information such as this, because you need the midpoint of the bar. You need the midpoint to be fluid enough up, outside the bars high or outside the bars low, and you can't see that in hindsight. You can't per se how they traded, how they traded it. So hopefully this will suffice. Hopefully. Now let's see if they're going to fail on the trend distance. We're going to be looking at that 5-minute mid, the floater. We're going to see if the midpoint can get outside that high to keep going, or will they keep that mid inside the prior bar and want to fail. Let's see. But that's the trend. There's the trend distance, and it's suggesting that it can go this far. So back up here. All right. Now that's the center of the trend, the COT. That's the center of the trend. Here's your participation bar. Some of this stuff should line up to, of course, where I'm telling you price should turn. So if the center of the trend here, you got the mid here come the participation bars here. the participation bar should be near where they have no business, of course, violating. Right? It should point directly to that information. So if the center of the trend is going to hold, here's your participation bars here. They may want to come down and hit it and then go. Who knows? But let's see if this could all play out while I'm up here. All right, now here I kind of got the range on this chart. Kind of put just a little bit more information up here for you. But the mid here, all right, now we got the clock right here. It's 2 minutes left. I don't know if this mid is going to get above this high. So that means you got to get the rotation. It has to come back this way. It just will. And just using the price pattern. And that's all. Just using that price pattern that I released to the public. Simple as that. Nothing complicated. Don't want to make trading complicated. Want to make it simple as possible. So how to do reversals? Again, there's a couple things that you got to look for. Just a couple things that you got to look for. And I told you the mid and the open of the second bar higher. Now, oftentimes the second bar won't be this one. It won't. The second one higher don't usually be the one right next to it most of the time. And if it is good, that's a good turn. That's pretty good. But sometimes they'll put a little misstep in there. It just depends on what kind of bar they turn it with here. And then they'll put a red one here. And then all of a sudden you get a second one higher, like way over here somewhere. And so it's not necessarily this pattern that you're going to see on the reversal. It's not. And that's why it's a different approach to it. And then it's not the low of the bar, it's the open. So it's not the price pattern that I'm releasing to you when it comes to reversals. It's get the reversal bar, okay, a green one, get a green one for to go up. And that second one can be 2 or 3 bars later. It doesn't even matter. It can come in 2 or 3 bars later, just as long as the open of the second bar is, of course, regarded. And so it's not the low. With the no close, it's the low of the bar. So it's a different approach to it. Now, we got the mid to work. The second bar they validated that they closed under the open of that bar. The open is the low in this scenario. They closed under that. That's fine. But it's the mid that we want to make sure that stay intact. Now, because this mid is still inside this bar, here come your rotation. So is this trend going to fail? How to know if the trend would fail? And this should help you. And this should help you. I kind of stated this in the dual. I think it was in the dual trend video and then the chopping trend. I think I stated it, but I'm gonna make a lot of emphasis on this here, and we're going to look at, of course, the higher time frames in relation to this information. All right, so I think I use Bitcoin in the chopping trend. We're going to use the NQ because it's full of the back and forth. I mean, that's what they got to offer, nothing but the back and forth. All right, so now we got a trend here. Is it going to fail? Now let's look at the 1 minute. The mid is inside of this bar. So there should be a rotation get ready to come in on this 30-second chart because the mid is inside this bar. Now, do it have to happen? Absolutely not. I mean, they can pull that mid outside of there if they want. 55 seconds on the clock, they can do it, and it can keep going down. Let me refresh this chart. I think my timer is acting funny here. Okay, all right. Yeah, timer was acting funny. Do forgive me on that. But that mid, okay, so they broke through the low. Can they keep the mid below this prior bar? If not, here come the rotation. All right, let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. Let's see. By the time the bar in, 4 seconds in, did they get that mid? The bar should turn red if they okay, never mind. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. All right, so this is another setup for the decline. I'm trying to make sure that this one will do it so you can see this one rotate. I want to kind of do it like that. Now we knew the rotation would come based on this bar. Of course, it was way up here, and then it came off its high and closed, and then the next one started. With that mid being inside this bar for so long, for the majority time of the bar, for the majority of the time of the bar being traded, with that mid still sitting in here, this is going to bleed this down more and more. So you're going to get more bars closing lower and lower and lower, depending on, of course, how long this bar will stay inside of the mid will stay inside this bar. And so now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6, 7. Back down. 7. Back down. And so you can kind of know that this trend would fail based on if you scale up. So if you scale up, you could just give an eye to it and say, hey, depending on how this time frame, now the market is fluid. It's fluid. It's not dependent upon time. It's not. I want to say that. I do know that. It's not dependent upon time, but the participation is important. You want to see how how is the flow of the orders coming into the market? Is it enough initiative, enough aggression? Because you got passive and aggressive participation. Is it enough participation coming into this to keep this market headed in the intended direction? Because you want to try to get here. You intend for it to get here. You do. You want it to go the trend distance. But if it won't, you're going to start wanting to see, okay, if it don't want to do that, you're going to want to see if that mid, now see how this mid is back inside this bar. We have 2 minutes left. Do you think to yourself that this mid can end up back below this low? You got 2 minutes left. Now, the closer that they creep up to the back of this turn here, it can very much blow right through it, and just keep right on going to offer you this trend distance. It absolutely can. And so, and that's where you're trying to find, would it fail? Now, of course, this is six. It's not, seven. It's nine. So it can turn back around. Absolutely, it can. And so you treat anything that's not the seven respectfully. Now, I want to say this respectfully as, hey, this is just something to ignore. It will get back on its way. Now, I'm having to say this because there's information that the chart is, of course, telling you that I just can't tell you. But can this mid fall back beneath this low 57, 55 seconds or so? I don't know if it's going to do that. So yeah, you might get another push back into here, and then let's see what the next bar do and see can it, take back off. But because the mid is in here inside of the prior bar, okay, this mid, the current bar's mid is inside the prior bar, is almost destined to give you the rotation. And so you take that same principle, happening here and then look down here. It's the kind of the same information, if you will. Can this mid fall below this low? If not, you get ready to see, the 30 seconds start coming back off its low to come back up. You're going to see it happen if they can't get that mid beneath that bar's low. So here come the 30-second coming off of its low. Let's see if it'll reach back up. Now, this is trying to create the participation to the downside. It is because that mid is beneath this low. Let's see what they do. Okay, so yeah, there's the participation bar here. You got that bar turning red. Let me open this up just a bit more. This bar is turning red, so that's indicating that they're back there. Let's see what happens because this one didn't make it, and so you saw it kind of come off its low, but then it committed back down. Now here come the rotation. Here it is. Because this bar's low did not get beneath. I'm sorry, this bar's mid did not get beneath this low. Okay. This bar's mid did not get beneath that low. And so there's a rotation coming. And so even though this has a trend down, it does. I'm just not measuring it because I don't want to, measure all the time frames here. But that's a trend down. You can see a seven, that's one, two, three, four, five, six, and there's seven. So that's seven. So how to know can it fail if you utilize just the price pattern that I released? Utilize that pattern, but you have to, of course, you know, pick it apart. Put all of what it offers you. Put it there. Make sure that you take away not just the stop placement, not just the no close bar, but the application of the absence of that information. And then if you look at it with the absence of the information that proves the participation, it would start to indicate to you that there's another cycle or another variable, another possibility, because it's all about function. And so the market is always doing the same thing. It is okay. It is. Don't let no one fool you. Don't let please don't let no one fool you with a lot of different terminology and all this other stuff associated with this that people have grown to want to utilize. It's up and down, up and down. It's tug of war, And so, are we going further, or are we going to give back? And that's what it's doing. Are we going further, or are we going to give back? The give back portion is in some degree denoted by the activity that's being displayed with the ratio. Okay. So I'm trying to simplify this without making it complicated for you. But I do want to explain that there's some simple logic to it. It's not trading is not as perplexed as most people think it is. It's really simple, and I want to make sure that you can see the chart very objectively. So, are we going to get back up? You see that this high, well, the mid got to this high, okay, on the 5 minute chart. You can go back and rewind the video. The mid got to this high and it was above it. But of course, we got 2 minutes and some change left here. They're coming back off this high. Now, do they plan to put this mid back into this bar, in the next 2 minutes? What does that mean for this time frame? 2 minutes. Okay, well, yeah, 2 minutes. What does that mean? Are we gonna blow this high? Yeah, I think we can get through it. I do. I I wanted to see them go and run this turn. I did, but I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because you of course get the chance to see this information. This is failing. It's going higher, because I do want to see a failure. I wanted to see them make this fail, but if even if they get here, that's fine. You're seeing the failure here, so you want to know when to expect it to fail. When should the trend fail? And so it's happening here, and that's good. It's coming back this way. I just want to see a trend fail. I do. I I think they can get back through here, and if they don't, I understand. I do, but I wanted to show you all of this in real time. Make sure you take the midpoint, the price pattern itself. I don't know if you downloaded the indicator from the Ninja Trader website that gives you the mid. I don't know if you did that. Of course, with the indicators that I provide, you get the mid and some other information with your bar. But the midpoint here, you got to see if it can clear. You don't want to visually do this. You want to make sure you get that marker, because it needs to be exact, because it deals with rotation. And so, if you can't visually nail it, just by, of course, looking at it, you'll want to get the marker, because it'll do it based upon exact math. And so it'll give you an idea of whether or not it's possible. Now, if you don't have the indicator, just do the best that you can visually to try to see if it's going to happen. All right. And that's what you're doing. Now, let me point out a couple of other things about whether or not it could fail. Let me tell you a couple other things. Angulation. Let's talk about slope. All right. So let's talk about slope. That's momentum too. You want to see, let's see can I use some of this right here. And this is not about trend lines. I want you to know that. It's not about that. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. You want to see, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's see. I don't want to take away from the real time. Don't want to take away from the real time. This is something simple. This is something simple that you can look for. Something simple. I kind of went too far on that one. But the noticeable difference, you're not seeing it so much in here. Not so much. Not so much. Okay, not so much. Now, angulation and duration is kind of one and the same. All right, so you see it, kind of parabolic here. And of course, going to retest that high, you can kind of see it drop off a bit. So they're not really as strong, just not really as strong. That, and of course, yeah, the amount of bars. You want to do, of course, angulation, okay, and how the slope, if you will, without the moving average. You don't have to have that. And the amount of bars. The amount of bars would tell you, and you can just, of course, count them. The amount or the size. Size is important too. That's something else. That'll tell you what's happening. That's all. Bigger size here, kind of a little bit bigger than these, but you're not getting far. Okay, big size here. Okay, look at the bigger size here. Look at the slope. That's pretty strong. Why are we making our way so far back down here? What's happening? So you kind of want to put all that information together. You can kind of see the size is not really there, but then they get real eager in here, and right into this area right in here where some size was at. You get a rotation back up. Size of the bars. not really as big as this information over here. Then you see the strength come back in it, from up here versus what it was doing before. You see how these bars don't have that participation on it. And so now, and let's look at it from the downside here. Just trying to throw a couple things at you. You see, the slope, the angulation is a little bit different without the moving average. It's a little bit different on this trip, even here. Okay, even here. Okay, even there, just slight difference, not by much, but it's a little bit different. Not no pauses. You don't get no pauses in it. No participation bars, not a lot of them. Not getting no pause, not getting no pause. They're hitting the gas up here. Then you have to put that in context to what was happening here. Okay, how is it that you can get so far, back here when there was so much strength there? All right, so you kind of just want to put duration, how long it's taken. Like if we're to go up, and that's something else that you got to put in mind. If we're to go up, first of all, you can't be pulling back and you're making trends and trend distance. You can't. That's not pullback. This this how many pullbacks does it take for you to break a high? That's stuff that you'll learn. How many times we need to do that before you actually go and get on your way? That's a problem. It shouldn't take all of that. And so here, let's we lift, let's say this pullback from the trend here. Okay. How many times do we need to pull back? Now remember, this is the first one. We never made a new low with any of this. So we're still dealing with this. So how many times do we need to do this to what? Produce this and then come back? And so you can kind of deduce in some degree just by duration, how long. Let's do this. How long? Okay, I'm gonna just kind of type it here for you. How long, how many bars, well, how long and how many bars. Let's go how angulation. Let's do how long. Let's do angle. So we're gonna do angle. All right. And let's do I trade better than I can spell. Let's do size. All right. So we're looking at these things. All right. So how long, which is how many times does it take, for us to see? I thought that they'll be back here. I did. Um, how long, or how many bars or how many attempts does it take, to get through, a high when you're pulling back? It shouldn't take a lot of attempts to get through a high. It just shouldn't. And so this is a problem. So that slow drift and you not getting no participation bars, that's not fun because it needs to ignite from wherever it's going. That's why I released that pattern. So you'll know, hey, take this trade because they're coming in. See, like here, you should know that they may come back. You don't see that participation on it. They're starting to come in as they move away. When it shows up directly on the turn, you may have something. Now, angulation, we went over that, the angle of it, the slope. Like if you see it weighing a bit. Now, this is an interesting one here. This one kind of got steep, and this one was like that. So when they break this, you should get something. Really should know that because of how steep it was. This here, you see how steep that is? That should produce something because it's steep. Okay, it's a little bit different than this. Okay, now if you want to go like this, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, if you want to do that, I can respect the fact that they dove back into this at 2 bar push. I get it, but from here to here, if you look at that, and in light of this, it was more so aggressive on this side of the fence. With just angulation and they're dropping beneath that. Okay. It should put them through this low, but let's see. Let's see if that can happen. So, size. Now, the size of the bars, make sure you compare. That's some other information I had sent you on that that uh that outline that I gave you. about how to read the chart. You got to read it. And so that's another thing you'll want to look for. Let's see what they do. They coming back into these participation bars. This the center. Okay, so this is the center of the reversal. That's the center of the reversal. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. I told you I think they're supposed to get through this bottom, but we'll see. Maybe they don't want to do that. Now, I hope that you've been paying attention to the mid. If not, just go back and rewind the video. But because I know I was over here doing some drawing on the chart, but I hope you glanced over here just to kind of see what that's doing. All right, now the mid is still inside of this bar. So the rotation is coming, or as the mid approached that low, you should know that the rotation was coming. Now, long as they don't spend too much time, we got 2 more minutes, well, minute and a half here, 2 more minutes here. Want to see if they can get that mid outside that low. If not, they may want to lift up a little bit more. They may want to lift up a little bit more and then drop. Let's see if we can do it within the next minute and 30 seconds. Get this mid beneath that low. Now they climbed back up. Now let's see, what was the low of this bar here? Low 846, 846, 47. So they moved back into 48. Let's say 48. 48. So 46 was the no close level, and they managed to move back over there. Okay, I'm about to say now, why is this thing not? It's still moving. Okay, it's still is. They slowed it down just for a second there. Okay, so you may get another rotation up. We got 1 more minute left, unless they plan on just pushing, go ahead and take off. This mid is still inside this bar, so the 30-second may give you a higher push up, unless they just go ahead and take off. They got to take off, because as long as this mid is sitting inside this prior bar, here come a rotation. So I thought we was gonna get the trend failure here, but they didn't do that. They kissed the back of it, I believe. Let's see, high 848 and a quarter. 848. Yeah, so they came in under it by a tick. All right, so real participation bar, not on the high here. It's not on the high. It's starting to come in, as they move further down. Here come the lift. Real participation came in. They tested. They turned. And again, you can look at this. Look at how steep that is. Look at how steep that is versus here. They kind of pause for a bit and then push. Really steep, came under it, picking up speed. All right. So let's see. Let's see what they're gonna do here. Let's see. And then I will let you go. I hope that I'm satisfying some of your question here. I can't outright teach you, reversal trading. I can't do that. The channel isn't really about that. But hopefully I'm telling you some things that you can look for that can help you to know if your trend would fail. You know, Definitely to make it simple, just utilize the price pattern and flip it. Put it in reverse. Like, hey, if I need this mid to fall beneath that low, and that's not happening, rotation can happen. And depends on which time frame you looking at, it can lead to a whole nother situation. All right, so here they come to blow that low. I kind of told you that that should happen from the beginning. I don't think that this is supposed to work, even though, of course, they hit the mid, and moved up. I totally get it. There's some other information that of course, they tell you when they do what they do, and so this low is supposed to get taken out. All right, so now they managed to do that. The mid is beneath this low. Let's see if it'll pull price back up and get that mid back in there. We got 3 minutes, 3 minutes and some change here. All right. All right. So they took out the low. Let's get this line out of here. All right. So they took out the low. Can they keep this mid beneath here for the next 3 minutes? Now, if they can't, 3 minutes over here could be 1, 2, you get 2 more up, coming past this pivot, running stops. Maybe at that point, because then this mid would be in there, and then maybe on the next bar, the mid will do the same thing, and it would cause it to go higher. So if the mid will not fall outside of these lows to keep it down, it could cause it to go higher, and vice versa. If the mid refuses to get above the bar's high, it can cause it to rotate over. Try not to make it complicated. I can assure you, don't do that. And so the mid here is still inside this bar. Maybe they'll rotate over. Maybe. Maybe. Let's see. Now this is the mid 1 minute. That's the 30-second. Mid still inside this bar. Maybe they'll rotate over. Maybe. Let's see if this mid can fall beneath this low on the 30-second. Let's see. If not, they may come right back up in the next 30 seconds and test the back of this turn. All right, so this bar is starting. The mid is trading back into this bar. Okay, let's see what they do, and then I would absolutely let you go. And hopefully, again, this video has been informative. If so, hit the like button if you find information useful. I know, Dimitri, you'll comment, and Payment, you might hit the thumbs up. I appreciate you too, man. You always, you've been there from the start. And of course, if you're new to the channel, just hit the like button or leave a comment. Let me know if it's helping you at all. Just let me know. All right, so the mid is inside this bar. You're coming up higher, so again, hopefully this is again simple enough to kind of give you an idea of how long it could last. All right. Now, they didn't break this low yet. All right. They didn't break this low yet. Let's see what this is. The low here, 824. 824. What we got here? 27. So yeah, they didn't break that yet. All right. So now on the next bar, now let's say on the next one here. Next bar come in, the mid may be inside of this bar, cause another rotation back down. May cause another rotation back down. Let's see what happens. But the goal really, and I'll just say it to you like this: the goal is to utilize the trend information, and then when that stops showing up, it's a chance that it's not trending. When the no touch setup isn't there, it's a chance that you're getting reversions or reversals, pullbacks, whatever you want to call it. You're getting the opposite of initiative. You're getting the opposite of igniting. You're getting the opposite of let's go, let's be aggressive, let's get price moving in this direction. You're getting the opposite of that, and how long it'll last will turn into whether or not you're getting a different trend. Now, do that trend have to prevail? Absolutely not, because remember, it's fluid. So if the participation comes back in, it could, of course, wipe away, what was happening before. Okay, so now we're getting the mid falling beneath this low. Let's see if it'll try to come back down here and test. Now that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 5. The mid is inside this bar. Let's see what this mid do, and then I definitely will get off here. Let's see what this mid will do. See if they can get it back up here. Let's see. Let's see. But yeah, you will want to just try to compare. Just try to compare the information, and that's important. Remember, I told you that's a part of literature. You want to make sure you're comparing. It's important. And so when you see that mid, they may run that one. Let's see what they do. See what they do. See if, and now if they, of course, if this 5-minute breaks this high, you just got to see if that mid is willing to go with it. If it's not, chances is you may get a rotation back down, run the stop on the high, trick everybody into the long, turn around, and next thing you know, they took back off. No trend here, even though it's popping up. Is it a trade here? Sure, you can take trades in this direction, absolutely. Without the trend, you just have to know when it could end, when it could subside, the buying, the selling, when will it stop? And I think if you follow what I'm suggesting here, it will help a great deal. You could take the daily and apply the same approach. Let's take a look at that daily before I go. Let's take a look at that really quickly here. That's the weekly. Let's look at that daily. Let's take a look at that daily, and then you'll kind of get an idea of how to maybe gauge the next day. So let me just slide this over a bit so you can kind of still see what's happening there. The mid is up here. Okay, well, from yesterday, I'm sorry. All right, so here we go. The mid is here. Okay, it's inside of the daily bar right now. So they can move it down. They can move price down. That'll drag that mid. Remember, the mid is trailing. So the mid be drugged down here. You give this distance from where it's at now. That'll put them somewhere down into that 780 area before that mid start falling outside of that low. Now, they can move it down lower than that. Clearly, I told you I told you what price I think that they may try. I did tell you that yesterday. I told you. They can move that mid below that bar, they absolutely can, but then by the end of the day, bring it back up. So if you're looking for the pickup, if you wanna pick it up, let the mid come outside the low. That's an easy indication to be able to step in front of it. Let the mid come outside that low on that daily, and then start looking for, your buys. Just start looking to see if it'll turn for you, and that'll help you kinda catch that daily. All right. So I hope that this has been informative for you, and I would definitely do my best to come back in sometime next week, possibly, and possibly, because they should make that trend distance by next week. They should make that if if they keep this acceleration to the upside going, they should make this trend distance. I'll come back once they make that, and we'll take another look at what's happening. All right. So I hope that this has been informative, and I wish you all the best with your trading. Take care.